Hi there, my name is Emma Molina, and I'm a plant-based nutrition educator, health coach, and food skills instructor here in Santa Barbara. I am also one of the co-founders of Rooted Santa Barbara, a newly launched nonprofit with a mission to empower every community member to take a leading role in their preventative healthcare through evidence-based, whole food, plant-based nutrition education and support. Today, I have the honor of introducing you to one of our Rooted colleagues, Dr. George Ayub. George is the author of Blueberries to Broccoli, a scientist's guide to improving your odds with cancer, and his more recent book, To Your Health, or Yo Saludable. George Ayub's work in nutrition and health research at UCSB, coupled with his work within our local clinics, has been an invaluable resource to the community, and we're so honored to have him as part of our steering committee. I'm going to pass you over to George now, where he'll give you a brief overview of the link between cancer causation and prevention through lifestyle and nutrition, and then I'll pop back in with practical tips on how to put it all together in the kitchen for the whole family to enjoy. Over to you, George.
Thanks, Emma. Let's talk a bit about what we know about cancer and the ways to improve our odds of surviving it or of not getting it. And we know breast cancer is the most common cancer in women, with 1 in 8 women expected to have developed breast cancer at some point in her life. We know that for cancers, there are 3 ways of improving our odds. There are 3 ways are don't smoke. If you already smoke, please try and cut back. It's hard, but really important for your health. Second is get regular exercise. Regular exercise, I'll talk briefly what that means, but regular exercise helps keep our body weight in control, which reduces our odds of stimulating cancer. So cancer is stimulated to grow when we have excess body weight. It stimulates growth of cells. When we have excess simple sugars in our body, that stimulates growth of cells. So keeping your weight in control both reduces the cancer growth, and also it boosts your cardiovascular system, which helps improve your resilience. And the third thing is to eat a healthy diet. And a healthy diet, obviously part of it reduces the simple sugars, but a significant part of a healthy diet is to reduce the things in our foods that stimulate inflammation in our body. So things like burnt foods or red meats in particular stimulate inflammation, which triggers cancer, and to increase the foods that trigger resistance to these. So things that like antioxidants that we see in most of the plants that we eat. So how do we know about cancer? We know about it from epidemiology, which is the study of disease and its spread, and from lab research. Epidemiology tells us the incidence of each type of cancer, and it also tells us about mortality from each type of cancer. And the American Cancer Society at cancer.org has data every year that they update on each of these. We also know that cancer, from all this epidemiology work, is caused by years of inflammation and mutation and cell growth in our body. We know from research that exercise cuts the risk of cancer roughly in half. And exercise simply means 40 minutes of moderate exercise a day or 20 minutes of vigorous exercise a day, and that reduces our risk of developing cancer roughly in half. We know that healthy diet cuts our risk of cancer roughly in half as well. And a healthy diet means a diet that's low in animal and doesn't have burnt foods, and also that is primarily made of plants. So we know that a plant diet cuts our risk of developing cancer roughly in half. If we look at the data from the American Cancer Society, we can see that these are the trends in the cancer incidence. So this is detection of cancer. And we can see that by and large, breast cancer is the most common cancer among women, twice as common as lung cancer, which is the second most common cancer. The bit of good news here is that breast cancer rates have not been increasing this century. This is a 40-year track of history. And the other bit of good news is that the 5-year survival from breast cancer is over 90% for the population. The way we know about nutrition and the types of foods that help us and the type of foods that hurt us is from that research. Some of this research has been done right here at UCSB. The research on cruciferous vegetables we've done has shown that cruciferous vegetables have an anti-cancer action, and that anti-cancer action comes from sulforaphane, which is in these vegetables. Sulforaphane stops cancer cells from growing. Sulforaphane is the smell that you smell when you're boiling broccoli, for example. So broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbages are cruciferous vegetables, Brussels sprouts as well. The other work we've done is on berries, and we know that berries have an anti-cancer action. And the anti-cancer action for berries is from the color-containing molecules in these berries. They're called anthocyanins, and anthocyanins are antioxidants, and these antioxidants are ones that kill cancer cells. So this is common in blueberries, raspberries, mulberries, and so on, all the different types of colorful berries. So we know from this work and from lots of other work on different foods that plants support healthy cells in our body. They reduce inflammation, whereas red meats in particular and burnt foods increase inflammation and therefore are triggers for cancer. So the general rule is exercise regularly and eat the rainbow of plants. Thank you. And back to you, Emma.
Amazing. Thank you so much, George. Okay, so a lot of incredible information here, but how do we easily translate that into our home kitchens? And how can we keep it fun and enjoyable for everyone around us? I often hear about one person eating their special diet food while the rest of the household is still eating the regular standard American diet. One of my big takeaways from George's points is that cancer grows from cell damage and long-term inflammation. In other words, cancer doesn't happen suddenly overnight. So I personally see a diagnosis as a big wake-up call for the entire family to see this as an opportunity to change things up and work towards a healthier lifestyle for the entire family. Eating a whole food plant-based diet doesn't have to be 100% all of the time. Extremism can be very isolating. And of course, there are going to be mishaps, epic meal fails and falling off the wagon, and that's okay, that's life. Just try to get back on and don't give yourself a hard time. The point here is to try to make small habit changes that you're truly comfortable with so that they become lifelong sustainable changes that change the trajectory of not only your health, but the health of your loved ones. It's pretty powerful stuff, and plants are pretty potent healers if we allow them to be. So at Rooted, when we say whole food plant-based nutrition, we mean prioritizing a predominantly whole food, not processed, plant diet, meaning fruits and veggies, 100% whole grains, nuts, seeds, and legumes, like beans, peas, and lentils. A whole food plant-based diet is traditionally also free of all animal-based foods, including their byproducts, such as eggs and dairy. And we also try to limit the use of oils, as these can be pro-inflammatory. And I realize that that may sound really hard and not very enjoyable to some people, but when we have these big aha moments that what we put into our body truly affects what goes on inside our body, it's pretty compelling. And eating delicious food that represents every color of the rainbow is a whole lot more enjoyable than a lifetime of pills and invasive procedures. The key being delicious. I am a total foodie. Yes, my food is mostly very healthy, but it absolutely must taste good too. It's pretty much a non-negotiable for me. The good news is that with over 20,000 edible plants on the planet, it's very easy to eat good tasting food. You just have to have a few tricks up your sleeve. Eating the rainbow means the more naturally colorful our food is, the more likely it is to have an abundance of cancer-fighting nutrients. Natural pigments that give fruits and veggies those bright colors, and the protective compounds are both cancer-fighting and immune-boosting. George spoke of two particularly powerful compounds, sulforaphane and anthocyanins. Sulforaphane is an incredibly powerful cancer fighter, and as the name suggests, it is found in cruciferous foods that give off that rather potent sulfuric smell when chopped or cooked. Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, you know the drill. Sulforaphane is present at varying levels in all of these, but there are ways to increase the bioavailable nature to our bodies even more. Chop them up or chew them up. When we break the cells of the plant, think of like snapping a glow stick, it releases even more of these compounds, and actually chopping and letting them rest for 20 to 30 minutes before eating or cooking is even better. Or you can add a smidge of mustard powder to help release it even faster. To fully harness the benefits, cruciferous veg should be lightly steamed or eaten as close to raw as possible. Heavy cooking and microwaving diminishes the nutrient levels substantially, but however you can get them in, I'm good with. I personally like to chop them in as small as possible portions as possible so that you can add them to whatever you're cooking. Pasta night, throw in a handful of collard greens into the marinara 30 seconds before combining it with the pasta. Taco night, shred up some cabbage, toss it with some lemon juice and let it sit for 5 minutes before adding it to a tortilla with baked cauliflower topped with homemade guacamole that's made with avocado and chopped kale or even arugula for a little spice. My point being, there's no need to make these foods the absolute centerpiece of every meal. Just add them in wherever you can. Sneak them in if you have to. One of my all-time favorite foods is a giant baked potato smothered with sour cream. Now I make a giant baked potato covered with a giant pile of steamed vegetables, and then I make a creamy sauce by steaming half a head of cauliflower with a clove of garlic, and then blending it up with some apple cider vinegar and a splash of water. I pop it into a squeezy bottle and sort of squirt it all over. Is it exactly the same thing? No, but is it incredibly delicious? Absolutely. Anthocyanins, these are the highly pigmented foods that come in those beautiful purpley reddish blues. We mostly think of wild blueberries, blackberries, mulberries, and raspberries, but they're also found in things like black rice, red onions, plums, and that cabbage I mentioned earlier for taco night. Make it a purple cabbage and you're double dipping on sulforaphane and anthocyanins. So good. It is believed that simply adding a quarter cup of wild blueberries to your daily food intake can not only help fight off damaged cancer cells, it can also help reduce inflammation. So awesome. These are just two highly antioxidant-rich compounds, but let's not forget beta-carotene. Orange foods like carrots, sweet potato, mango, yams, pumpkins, it's so easy to add these foods into things we're already eating. Just pop them into a soup, or just because a recipe doesn't call for it doesn't mean you can't add it in. I love adding mango to smoothies, carrots to soups, salads, and even dips. I actually batch cook a 3-pound bag of organic sweet potatoes from Trader Joe's every week. Chop them up and bake them without any oil or seasoning. Then they can be added to school lunches, stews, burritos, taco bowls, salads, smoothies, just popped into my mouth for a quick on-the-go snack, or even fed to our dog as a treat. As you can see, I could go on and on about the incredible benefits of eating the rainbow, but the overall point is to get as many naturally colorful foods into every meal as possible, a truly balanced diet. If your plate looks mostly brown and beige, ask yourself, what colorful food could I add more goodness to this meal? Maybe it's just some fresh herbs to start with, or perhaps it can be served over a bed of greens, or maybe adding some chopped up fruit will add a really interesting flavor profile to the dish. Have fun with it. It can be a bit of a mindset shift at first. When we focus less on the foods we're trying to eat less of or even avoid, and actually turn our attention and focus to all of the incredible foods that are available to us, it's pretty mind-blowing. The other really important part about eating more plants is, of course, fiber. The natural prebiotic foods that feed our gut microbes, where 70% of our immune system resides. Our country is pretty obsessed with protein right now, but according to the Institute of Medicine, approximately 95% of Americans are not eating the daily recommended amount of fiber. And this is ultimately a large causation of the demise of our overall health. When we eat a diet high in colorful, fiber-rich foods, we are providing our bodies with the greatest chance for longevity and a robust internal defense system that has a clear directive to protect us and prevent reoccurrence of illness and disease. The greatest defense is prevention, and the greatest weapon against reoccurrence is a healthy lifestyle. Thank you so much to the Breast Cancer Research Center for inviting us to spend a little bit of time with you today. Eating well is such an important part of self-care, and we invite you to check out our website at rootedsantabarbara.org for more resources. Although we're newly launched, we have big plans, and we look forward to spending more time with you in the future, perhaps even at a fun cooking or nutrition class. Thank you all, and be well.